So the Boys season 5 was so disgustingly terrible that when they gave a very mid okay season finale and the series finale, even if it was extremely mid, most of the people were actually content with that. Even when I was watching it, I was content with it. But as time went, and when I thought about things, it's just, man, it just feels so awful, and I feel so bad about two people in particular. One is Anthony Starr, and another one is Carl Urban. Anthony Starr, he gave the best villain, one of the performance in the television for sure, and one of the best villains in all of entertainment industry, all of cinematic experience that we have ever had. He just became that. People on YouTube, on his videos, they go and they say that Homelander is acting so well, trying to pretend to be Anthony Starr. He became much more than that. Every way that he thought, he's such a phenomenal actor. He rarely raises his voice. He talks like an eloquent speaker. He understands what Homelander is. Homelander thinks of himself as a god from the get-go, and many people around him have told him that he is a god. He has the powers of essentially a god. Like Superman is literally he can, like Superman was, he could freeze, he can lift a plane, he can go to space in a fraction of a minute or second, whatever. So he understands that, and he plays so well. And the way this show ended was just I was literally hoping before the season started, and even in the even when it was episode 5, I was literally hoping that there will be a full episode dedicated to Homelander, in which Homelander will go completely insane, and the way I will give a very good example and a very good analogy. It was Zendaya in Euphoria season 2. She was provided a whole episode in which she was completely crazy. She runs here and there, she falls back, and her acting was so phenomenal in that. And I was literally hoping that they would do the same with Anthony Starr. They would give him a place, a moment where he will, of course, he shines every moment he is on the screen, but he is going to just excel. He's just going to be super awesome. He will be just phenomenal in that very moment. But there was nothing like that. And instead, in the season finale, rather than dedicating the whole episode on the greatest villain ever, they rushed it. They finished everything in 40 minutes so that they could give the last 20 minutes to imitate what happened to Billy Butcher in the comic version. So instead and it was also extremely rushed, and it is just such an injustice to, of course, Anthony Starr and the second guy, Carl Urban, that he also rarely got a moment to shine. Probably season 3 was the only place where he got a moment to shine, and of course there were sprinkles everywhere, where he got some scenes, he has some dialogues, he has also shined. He also takes away the scene where he is magical, he is phenomenal, he's just one of the best heroes, anti-heroes. He's literally the best. But they should have given him a proper send-off. Means so terrible. It's and they had means I just feel so awful as it grows. The only reason why people are praising the finale, is because they at least did what they were supposed to do. They just completely did not destroy everything. They just, it's not like they, means they were able to at least the bare minimum. And for many people that was a moment of rejoice, because otherwise it would have looked so awful. So my take is, I'm gonna try to fix the writing. So we see in the very finale that Homelander is powered down, for no reason. He has got V1. He is the most powerful suit ever. He is literally being manhandled by Billy Butcher. Billy Butcher is literally able to put up a fight against him. And why didn't he do it the whole season if he had it all the time? If he was able to do this much damage to him, why didn't he just gathered 10-15 more superheroes and just went there and just did his job? It just feels so awful, that they completely powered down the villain that they have been building from past 5 seasons, 40 episodes. He has got super speed, super flight, everything super in him. He is literally Superman, and he is literally not able to fight these two very normal superheroes. And it just literally proves that they just rushed everything. They did not know what to do. They did not know how to end it. They just rushed it, or they might had some plans, but they did not get the budget. I do not know. But what the final product is it looks like either they did not know what to do, or they could not do what they wanted to do. And it's terrible in both ways. One of the best seasons, one of the best shows to come out in in the late 2019s or 2020s, and the ending was terrible. One more, I'm gonna say one more thing. I read a comment on YouTube somewhere on one of the Boys episodes of the early Boys TV short. I was watching in the party where Billy Butcher meets Homelander for the first time. He's completely well shaved, and somebody says there that at that time they at least had the budget to organize a party, and there are people up there. Nowadays everything in this show is 5 to 6 people at most, 10 people at most. Yes, here they did have that thing in which Homelander is giving the speech, and a lot of them are in a movie theater watching his speech, but that would have been not even a 5 to 10 minute work. Means not 5 to 10 minutes. Of course I know shooting a film or on TV, it takes a lot of time. It would have been a matter of 3-4 hours. They could have just asked all their cast and crew to sit there, just not the main cast, but they could have just asked the people to sit there, fill in the spaces, and they just gotten the shots that they wanted to have. Just crazy, man. Just terrible that in the final seasons they did not have even the budgets to do all that. There was of course no military intervention. Honestly, the story did not even require it, because Homelander is controlling Ashley, the president. So it was not even required. But still, the president of the USA, means with that much power, and nobody's keeping a check on what is going on with the what happened to President Calhoun. Nobody is even worrying about it. I think it's just that you have to just assume that if anybody even asks a question, then Homelander just destroys that person, or they are just scared that. So nobody is saying anything in the whole administration, and so means it just felt like a very isolated show. And I had so many hopes from the way season 4 ended. I had so many hopes that season 5 will have that kind of apocalypse that they were promising. Of course, there was false advertising, there was false marketing. Nothing that they showed on the wallpapers. Nothing. Homelander did not go crazy at all. In the craziness is that in the final episode, they tried to make a parody of a very famous personality, and they show Homelander finishing that person. And do you want people to love Homelander? Means it was a very funny way, like the way Homelander just goes off on him. And yet it actually makes you love Homelander. That how funnily he did that. So means they did not even build him as a villain. They should have made him do something before, 10 minutes before, 15 minutes before, or 30 minutes before his end. Make him do something crazy that makes it very fresh in the memory of people. That in the last episode too, he did not do anything at all. Means he did not do anything crazy at all. So he's just crazy. Actually, in this season, he does not go off crazy like that on people at all. Like he did in the last season, man. He went to that lab where he was born, and he actually completely goes and completely destroys everyone there, annihilates them. So nothing like that here. It's completely crazy, man. It's so crazy. It's so sad. It's so sad. One of the best villains ever had to grow like that, So my take is that instead of just 2 people or 3 people able to overpower Homelander, why wasn't there Gen Z? Why wasn't there Starlight? Why wasn't there UE and MM doing some tweak and ultimately showing that team does matter, teamwork does matter, like in the real world, teamwork does matter. So means it would have looked really nice, having Gen V characters fight Homelander, like Emma becoming a giant suddenly, and or becoming a small person suddenly, or something like that, or but I think they did not have the budget to do that. With Emma, of course, they did not have the budget. But still, Marie Muro, what if, just show that Homelander has 10 to 15 soups outside the White House, waiting, and Marie Muro comes and just completely, destroys. And there are just so many things that did not happen. Like Homelander and Marie Muro, they were supposed to have at least a small confrontation in which Marie Muro probably tells Homelander that, hey, Mr. Homelander, by the way, we are cousins. We are born in the same labs. And Homelander saying to her, yeah, I read the files, and why aren't you with me? And then, Marie Muro might say that, I'm always on the right side, I'm always on the correct, because you're a psychopath, that's why I'm not with you. That would have been a nice talk, and then them fighting each other a little bit, and him easily, overpowering Marie Muro. So that ultimately, of course, it's going to be, if anyone deserves to do anything wrong to Homelander, it was Billy Butcher and Ryan. They both were the ones who deserved to have their hand on Homelander. But it's just, so it would have looked so well instead of wasting time on Dorknot and She-Line, which were just so useless as a superheroes. No build up, nothing. And then putting all these people, and even not, instead of wasting time of Black Noir doing crazy things like Black Noir 2, put him in this fight. He is supporting Homelander, and then of course someone like Marie Muro again, or somebody else, or Billy Butcher this time, or anyone with great power comes and just completely, like, overs him, man. Like, it's sad the way season 1 started, the way season 5 started. Like, that whole video of Flight 37 was out, and Homelander is about to laser everyone. At least they should have shown that. Just show that thing, man. Like, it's like silly as hell. It's very silly. Like, it's, they completely balls it. Like, honestly, the only reason why people are loving is that there was that the end result was accurate. Otherwise, this was just beyond redemption, beyond, this was just terrible, man. It was like sad. I feel sad. It would have been so good. I just cannot imagine that a human being with, any intelligence, and when he has access to this kind of franchise, and when they call himself a writer or a show creator or developer, they can come up with something so underwhelming, so disappointing. It just feels funny. It just feels tragic. It just feels tragic as hell. I wish, why didn't Starlight and Homelander even have a single confrontation in this whole season? Why not? Like, Starlight is the one who is protesting against Homelander, who is doing all these things against Homelander, that, since season 3, she is the one. Why not she having a confrontation? Nothing like that. Instead, it's Kimitro, who doesn't even have anything against Homelander. Yes, Kimitro's boyfriend was killed by Homelander, but still, why aren't those people there? It's so silly. The whole show is just completely silly. It's sad. Let's see. I don't know if I will ever watch this Watch Rising. Jensen Ackles is definitely something, and probably if the trailers are good, probably I might watch some. But it's going to be the same slop. They would want to make 3 or 4 seasons, so probably 5 seasons. My God, man. You have to be kidding me, man. This is not even 1 season. This is a 1 season story. The whole Watch Rising, it should be over in a season. Because we all know where was Soldier Boy 1984. So, you have to just cover those, very few years, when he was with Stormfront. We all know where Liberty was in 1960s. So it would be really nonsensical. And I had at least have some hopes with this Watch Rising, but with this, what do you say? But with this show, the Boys Mojito, I don't have even any hope. I cannot have any hope with that, because they will again have the same ideology to move something for 2 or 3 seasons at least, and I don't think it will work. If Jeff Bezos is not interested, and if they are not making any money, it's done. This is let's see. Let us all see. Thank you all.